Hello, welcome back to my channel. If you're a returning subscriber and if you're new here, my name is Anele Elsie. I am just a new YouTuber that has been very inspired and encouraged by DoorDash to post something. Just go and post it and start. So here I am sitting in a parking lot. Well, it's a little park or whatever it is. During my lunchtime, I'm wearing a big coat because it's a little bit cold. It's about 6 degrees, but I mean, this is Canada, so it's what it is. So, but there was like good lighting and the sunshine was coming through here, but it's gone. But anyway, we have to do this because we have to post something. Anyway, so today we're going to talk about how to find accommodation in Canada. I have some notes, so I'll be looking down a little bit as I am looking to ensure that I don't miss anything on this topic from my experiences. So, the first thing is you are going to want to go to certain websites where you can see what is out there for rentals at a point in time that you're actually wanting to move here to Canada. So, some of these would be Rent Faster, Kijiji. Some people also have a marketplace as an option, so you can also find your accommodation on any of those. Some of it could just be word of mouth, like when you know you have your visa that has been approved, or like you're working through that. Talk to some of your friends; they might actually know of someone that is something that's going on rental, or like because like people here have basements, so like their houses here are built such that there's basements. Basements usually are for security, excuse me, not security, but for safety. So in case there's anything that happens, then people can actually go to the basement and use that as a um, yeah, safe place to escape to should there be any natural disasters or anything like that. So yeah, some people do have basements that they will be renting out, so you can also reach out to some of your friends, your colleagues, and ask them if they know of anybody that has this kind of arrangement. But yeah, you can also go on Google and look and see what's on there for the specific town, city that you'll be moving to. So those are some of the ways that you can look for accommodation. So when you move to Canada, my recommendation is when you get here, actually start with something that's temporary. So be it like you're going to ask your friends to live with them for a couple of days, or you're going to do Airbnb, or like something that's short term, because that allows you to kind of be in the city that you're wanting to move to and actually go around and actually see what it's like, and then you can see like, let's say in the case of Calgary, you can go to the particular quadrant that you want to live in, that you'd prefer, and then you can at least have a feel of like how it is living there, like the demographics of the people that are living around there, the facilities that are out there. So yeah, I would actually really recommend that you can start on a temporary setup, and then from there you can actually have time to actually go around and look for accommodation yourself and actually see what feels better for you, what makes sense for you. So yeah, these are different uh, things that you'll be thinking about there, because like if you're wanting to be closer to, let's say, schools, if you have children, or if you want to be closer to a school, maybe if you are in university, or if you are studying a program of some sort, so those are the factors that you need to look into as well. And like accessibility as well, like do they have parks, do they have schools, do they have grocery stores close by, things like that also are factors that you'd only know when you're there. And in terms of like, if a place is close to like transit, that also makes a difference. You also want to know like how far is the transit, let's say the bus station or the train station from where you are, such that you don't have to be walking outside a lot in the winter, because that really makes a difference. Like you, like a little bit of time in the winter here can actually make a big difference. Like you can actually freeze to death. No need to, I'm not scaring anybody, but yeah, that's actually really something to consider. So like you just want to be as close as possible to the train station, that is if you're using public transportation. But if you're not, then that's nothing to worry about, as you can just hop into your car and then get going where you need to go. And also like other things that people want to consider as well, like are there leisure centers that are close by? Say let's say you have kids and they want to go to do some activities, like they need to go into practice for like piano or whatever extracurricular that your kids actually need to go into. So that's some of the factors as well that you need to consider for a place that you'll be moving to. So then there's the next factor is, are you going to actually look into a place that is furnished or not? So my recommendation, or at least what worked for us when we moved here was we moved into a furnished space, because then we didn't have enough money to actually buy furniture, because furniture is really really expensive. And if you didn't know, most of the furniture here, if you're going to buy it brand new, you actually need to assemble it yourself. So that meant also that we needed to have time for that, and the time that we moved, it was right around time that it was very busy at my job, so we would not have had time to do that. So furnished option was the best way for us to go, because that allowed us just to move in. Literally, we had our suitcases, moved in, and everything was all good to go. We didn't have to worry about anything. Yeah, any furniture or anything like that, because everything was already in the house. And also, when you want to move to another place, you don't have to have the hassle of like now carrying all that furniture and stuff like that. So we found that an option that was furnished worked the best for us. But yeah, it goes depends again with you, on your circumstances, in terms of how that works. But also, like, yeah, if you're wanting to move, maybe when you actually live in a city or in a specific neighborhood, you find that you don't like it. When you have to move, then you actually need to move all those things here. And trust me, movers are not cheap here, so it's actually like a factor as well that you have to consider. So we moved into a furnished space. So if that's an option, but there's also unfinished spaces. So if you want to really like go all out and get stuff that you like, that fits you better and all that stuff, you can go ahead and do that as well. That's also an option. So um what we also found out was, when we were looking at the different options where we wanted to rent, there's different options actually. So maybe I should maybe allude to that a little bit. So there are options such as like condos. There's options such as basements. There's options such as regular apartments or like regular houses that you can rent from that you can rent. And yeah, it just depends like on what works best for you, and like in terms of like money, like what your budget looks like. So like you'd find that maybe like living downtown in an apartment would be nice and closer maybe to your work, or like closer to facilities like restaurants and things like that, but that might also be pricey. And yeah, and if you're living in a condo, let's say, or like apartments, like high rise apartments, so the prices there might be more than if you lived, to say, in a basement. And also you have to other things that you need to consider as well, like, okay, do you have kids? So because if you do have kids, then maybe sometimes there may be issues with like noise, like if your kids are causing noise in an apartment, then that might be an issue. So it's things like that that you also need to think about when you're like looking for the option that works best for you. What worked best for us was moving into a basement. It was cheaper, as we said, we didn't have as much money, and it was a way for us just to kind of get started. I mean, I will be very truthful here. I was also skeptical about living in a basement because I wasn't aware of this as an option, having grown up in Zimbabwe, having lived in like other countries where really basement were not a thing. I lived in the US years, but I don't remember that being like a very common accommodation option for people. Like when I was in college, basements really were like escape areas. So when there was, let's say, should there have been, like, say, like a natural disaster or anything like that, then we would all escape into the basement. So, or like people that I knew, like when I had gone to their houses, they had basements for like entertainment. So just for the family, not like as accommodation for people. So, anyways, I didn't actually know and trust basements, but I actually found that basements actually are an option that works, and it worked for us for a year and a half that we were living in one. And I will talk more about basements, like the pros and cons of living into in basements, so you can stay um tuned for that, and then you can also maybe weigh if that's an option for you. So that's what I'll talk about more in another video, because that's my experience, and I feel free to share my experiences with someone else that they might benefit from, or at least be aware of certain things. So, and then when it also comes to like some units, they might have utilities included, some might not have utilities included. So that's also something you want to also understand when you actually go into your when you are trying to sign up a lease or anything like that. Just ensure that you are actually aware of this. So like, yeah, when we lived where we lived, we were not paying any utilities, so we didn't have to worry about anything of that nature. Because like sometimes, like when you want to just sign up for internet without any credit history, it can be a challenge. But there's some providers also that are open, that I understand, like international students or international experts are coming in, and they will not have any of these things. So it just all depends on how that works out. And some places might have a split, so they might say like people that are living upstairs, they're paying 60% of the utilities, and then you pay 40%. But yeah, just be aware of that as well, so then you see what works best for you, and what would be an option for you. So there's also like other options that I need to talk about. Like there's also like shared rooms. So this is like an arrangement where someone just has a room in their home that they open up to anybody that needs to the space to rent. So that can also be a good option as well, because you're living with a family. Let's say sometimes you actually then have good relations with that family, and they can invite you to stuff and they kind of help you to get around. But yeah, don't expect too much. Also, you get to know them better first, and then you can see if that actually is an option for you, if that works out for you and for your family and the like. So that's also an option, really. Like if you're coming in, maybe you're single, or like you don't have like as many family members, really, that's an option to consider. I think that's probably the cheapest way actually to go, because it is probably not going to cost you a lot of money when you have that kind of arrangement. Usually the terms are also the lease terms are not that long, so then you have an option then, like after you have lived there, you can then move to some another place else. So another thing as well that you need to be aware of is that some places will ask you to have tenant insurance. So tenant insurance is yeah, essentially is as simple as it says, but yeah, that just ensures that your belongings are safe in case of anything that happens. Or the landlord also ensures that, okay, you're not going to be causing any trouble, like making fries and then leaving the fryer, the oil in the pan and forgetting to actually switch it off. So you're not causing any fires or anything that will be harmful to them and to their property. So that's another thing as well. So just ensure that you also have budget for that, should your landlord require that you do have tenant insurance. So the other thing also is you want to also like think about leases in terms of like, are they going to be short term or long term? I might have mentioned that before already, but anyways, like starting off with a short term lease will be helpful for you, so then you can like look at other options as well later on, like should you want to move out of that place or not. And then also it gives you a time to also understand the landlord, because some landlords can also be very difficult to deal with. So that's also another way of going of taking that up. And also another thing is that it depends on the time that you actually move to Canada. So you would find that a lot of people have their houses on rental starting from, let's say, July, like sometime in the summertime, just because that's when a lot of people are like buying and selling houses, or like people need to move in and do like maintenance, like the landlord will need to do some maintenance at the home for whatever that needs to be changed, being the water heater, the furnace, all the stuff. So like usually that's kind of like the time that people are willing to have new people come into their homes and stuff like that. So if you have a short term, then that allows you to have that room that, okay, you can actually just easily switch into some other space and then maybe get a longer lease at another place or something like that. But yeah, of course, if you do have a shorter term, that means like, yeah, you're not sure what's going to happen after you resign. So sometimes then the rent might actually increase when you resign the lease, because yeah, maybe interest rates are going up or whatever the case, the circumstances are. I mean, landlord decides what they want to have as the rental price. So that's another thing also just to kind of think about. So yeah, oh yeah, like I was saying, like when so also if you have a shorter term, right? Like what happens in the summertime here is like people have a lot of garage sales. So like with the garage sales, it's basically like someone that just has stuff in their garage or like outside on their yard, and they're selling a few things. So actually when they have this kind of yard sales, you might actually be able to get a few things to finish your home. So like if you have like that flexibility, then like yeah, on a short term lease, then you can actually then also enjoy this, go to the garage sales, pick up a few things to actually finish your home and things like that. So yeah, the other thing also, like in terms of like accommodation and like when you now want to finish your homes, there's also like Facebook Market has a lot of things that you can actually buy to finish your homes and things like that. So if that's potentially like something that you want to look and think about, that's yeah, I have seen a lot of things. Like I got like carpets and like rugs and things like that from Facebook Market, and like it's actually really like a cool way of getting like things for cheaper. But yeah, it's also, I guess, like it depends how you look at it, because sometimes you actually need to go somewhere that's like opposite of where you live. Like you live in the southwest in Calgary, and then someone is selling something in the northeast. So like you have to consider like, okay, does it make sense actually to go and get something from there, and how big and bulky is that thing that you want to get? Like do you actually need movers, or do you actually need like someone with a truck that's going to help you with moving stuff around? So yeah, just a few things to think about there. So yeah, I think that's probably like everything that I had really on like finding accommodation. If there's anything that I missed, if anything that's worked out for you, yeah, do let me know in the comment section here, like what worked for you when you're actually looking for your apartment, or like what is the advice that you give someone else. So yeah, if this was helpful for you, please I ask that you subscribe and like this video and comment and let me know anything that you thought about the video or anything that you want to see in any of my next videos. That just helps me to grow my channel. Thanks guys, cheers, bye.